Hi, my name is Beth Lawson, and this is my intimate apparel review. Question one: what did I notice about the play that was interesting, strange, or revealing? I thought the play was, well, the first half I thought was really nice, and it was a beautiful love story. But the second half, when George turned out to be not who Esther thought he was, I thought was really sad. One of the things that I found kind of interesting is all the colorism in the play. I know when Esther and Mrs. Dickerson were talking about Karina May, they said all she had really going for her was her honey colored skin, which I feel like was colorism about a lighter skinned African American woman. Question two about what values were represented in the play. I think it was they didn't really value single women as much. The women that were like in their 30s, 35 and up, they were really worried about still being single and were very concerned about finding a husband. The character that played a prostitute, Mamie, if I'm saying that right, she at one point was making fun of Esther for being a virgin. And then she kind of apologized for it and caressed her face as an apology. Um, she questioned Esther why she would invite her to her wedding and why would she want a woman like her at her wedding, and it wouldn't be appropriate for her to be in a church. And then another thing about the values is when George discusses his job when he was digging the trenches, he was discussing how a lot of African American males lost their lives with no one shedding a tear over them or really caring that they lost their lives. Far as any terms that I didn't know, I had to look up some of the fabrics that were mentioned throughout the play. The garbadine fabric, I looked that up and it was a fabric woven made of wool or cotton. And then I also looked up a snifter of brandy, and I found out that a snifter is like a short stem glass with a wide bottom that they used to drink out of. I think it did help me kind of bring into context the year and how the play was set at the time and the type of things that they used to drink. For issues of diversity, I think this play does give us more understanding of African Americans back in the early 1900s. I thought the pictures that they took, like the one of the picture of George and Esther at their wedding, and it said an unknown African American couple on their wedding day. I think that this play gave like a background to that couple and kind of told us their story and made us fall in love with the characters. Also, the photo at the end where it said unknown African American seamstress, I think it was really good to get to know their background and get to know all the sacrifices they made to get to where they were at in life. Do I think stereotypes in other groups still exist today and how you can overcome them? I do believe that stereotypes still exist. I think back then, I think Esther and Marx would have made a better couple than Esther and George. And I understand like the stereotypes that a Jewish man and Afro American American female couldn't be together was more risky back then, and they were taking more chances with it. I do think that today they would be more accepted in our society. I also think that it was kind of sad that Miss Dickerson said she got married at 37 because she felt like the guy that was showing her interest was like one of the only ones that would show interest to her. And she felt like no other decent colored folks would have her. She also said that her mother told her to marry up and that love is a total impractical thing for a woman in her position. And I do think that sometimes women still look to marry up or look to marry successful men. When I think of two questions about the play, I think about how things would have been different if Esther would have known it wasn't really George writing those letters to her. And would she have still fall in love and stuff if she would have known it was somebody else that was writing those letters? And then I also think about how the play could have been different if Marks and Esther could have got together rather than Esther and George. I think that they were a better fit couple and they were more compassionate and more loving towards each other. Thank you.